Hey, good morning. How are you? It's Pete Nero. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to make a little video about my last rant for my podcast that I did on my podcast, Rants from Hell, another brain crack. But I wanted to do the exact same story on video, so my friends on YouTube can see it as well. But anyway, here we are. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. I'm having my coffee here. And working from my new studio, my new temporary studio, which is my car. Anyway, here it is. Wow. So I'm here, and it's an okay day. It's almost the end of October, and we're kind of taking it easy over here. Shit is still kind of hitting the fan all over the place, I guess. But I just wanted to talk about a couple things. I had been talking about two things, actually. First of all, it was if you go into a comedy club, a comedy bar, or anywhere that they're doing an open mic or an amateur night or any kind of comedy show, really, I've noticed something a couple times, and can't really understand what it is. But for example, I've been to a few comedy shows, performing and watching, and even if the material is really good and the comics are having a great night, I've noticed that sometimes the crowds are quiet. And even though if it's not, you say, well, maybe there's not that many people in the club, but sometimes, I've been to one place, for example, where it was a good night. A lot of the comics were good. They were really good. And I was there as well. I was part of the open mic, and I think we all had a good set. And in the end, they had a headliner who was fucking amazing, and he obviously had a great set. But the place was maybe, 30, 35 people, that kind of thing. But the crowd was enjoying it. The crowd was enjoying the show. But everybody was pretty quiet. I mean, nobody was laughing their asses off, screaming, laughing, or really, hardcore laughing. They were enjoying the show, but nobody was really that loud. Now, I guess I've been spoiled where I've been to other clubs where the people are really fucking loud. And they're laughing all the time, and they're really letting you know, you guys are fucking hilarious, the show's amazing, I'm gonna laugh my fucking ball sack off. But sometimes it doesn't happen. And it doesn't mean that it's that, the comedians are bad, or the food they're serving, or the drinks are... It doesn't mean that anything is bad. It's just, sometimes that's how crowds are. That's how comedy crowds are. Sometimes the crowd is enjoying the show, but they're not really in the mood to be that vocal. And I understand, and they have a right to do that. The crowd owns the show. The crowd is the star of the show. But, I went to one of these places. It was a great place, great show. I did my 5-minute set, and I enjoyed it, I mean... Yeah, people are laughing. It's not like there's nobody laughing in the whole room and you hear like fucking crickets, or you just hear the sound of the glass on the tables. But it wasn't like explosive. Now, and then, and even at the end of the show, the headliner, he was fucking amazing. One of my favorite Canadian comedians. He was there doing his set, and it was great. But not that many people were like, ah... Not that many people were going crazy nuts. Now, I'm not a seasoned stand-up comedian with 20 years of experience under my belt, but I'm thinking like, it's great when the crowd laughs and really gets into it. And sometimes they don't, and that's okay too, because it doesn't mean that you were bad. It doesn't mean that the show was bad. It just means that that's how the crowd felt. Anyway, but... And then again, this one time, we all finished the show, and we're all getting ready to go. I mean, it was the end of the night, the end of, the club was closing down. And we're all grabbing our stuff. I'm grabbing my shit, and walking outside and walking out of the club into the street. It was downtown. And I hear, a couple of guys who were in the show, a couple of people from the crowd who were in the show talking about the show, and I hear them behind me. I'm minding my own business, and I just happen to overhear their conversation, and they're talking. It's like, yeah, and the show was great, but that guy there was my favorite. He was the most different. And they're talking about me. But, I didn't say anything. I didn't. And then all of a sudden, I feel like somebody like tapping my shoulder, right? And it was them. So I turned around and thinking like, what's going to... It's, yeah, we loved you, man. I think you were great. And your stuff was new and your stuff was different. And it was one of the most amazing, almost emotional. It was an amazing time I've ever had. I mean, I almost wish that I grabbed my camera and like took a picture of them or recorded them. But I thanked them so much. It was a great time. And, I was so happy that and lucky. I felt happy and lucky that these guys liked the show and actually went out of their way to let me know. And if you guys ever see this or hear this or know who I am and know who you are, know that I love you so much and thank you so much. I mean, it made my year, actually. So there you go there. But then there was, so sometimes it's just the crowd. Sometimes depends on how the crowd feels. If they want to yell and scream and laugh, or they're still going to enjoy the show, but they're not going to go totally fucking nuts. But it was interesting. But that's how it is, I remember hearing some old tapes I used to get in the 80s and the 90s of, some of my favorite comedians back then, and they were recording the show on tape or on video, and some of them, the crowd wasn't, they were into it and they were loving the show, but the crowd wasn't crazy explosive, and I was thinking like, wow, I guess, are they not liking the show, or is he doing horribly? But no, it's just, that's how it is, and the crowd has a right to do it, and they're the boss of the show. So that was there. But I want to thank those guys who went out of their way to tell me that they enjoyed the show, and I thought it was amazing. I felt like a celebrity that night. Quiet crowds, and then that reminded me. I don't know why. I think it's just one way to make one segue here. Cancel culture. Let's talk about cancel culture. Going on with the theme of my last recorded podcast. Cancel culture, when everybody's offended of everything now. I mean, sure, and they're picking on a lot of comedians, stand-up comedians and performing comedians and skit comedy. Sometimes I like to do some skit comedy too on, on my YouTube or on my podcast. I'll do the characters and the voices, and that's great. But now everybody's getting offended for everything. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, oh, he offended me. Listen, I get offended all the time. When I was younger and now, I get offended all the time about shit that I see, what people tell me. You know what? You gotta, unless it's something disgusting like racist or ignorant or hateful or hurtful, yes, that should never happen, and you should get your ass called out for that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just like, we're comedians, some of us have a persona, some of us have a theme, some of us have something that we do, right? So we're going to have an act. And some of us like to push it sometimes a little bit, But then people are, oh, he used this word or he said that. It's fucking comedy. Listen, if you don't like it, if you don't like a specific show or a specific comedian or a specific persona, don't listen to it. Move on. Don't sit there and... some people are just looking for a fight and looking to complain. They're going out of their way and they're complaining, and they don't like this and they don't like that, and he said this and he said that, and I don't like how he said that word. And oh my God, it's comedy, guys. Move on. You're offended? Okay, good. You're offended? Move on. Don't come back anymore. But don't sit there and cause fucking problems for people and go out of your way. Like, some people really have nothing to do in their daily routine, that they have to spend literally an entire day on social media shit talking a comedian about something that he didn't even really do that wrong. It's something that he always does, was in the boundaries, the parameters of, there's clean comedy, there's dirty comedy, there's shock comedy. It's just comedy. You love it? Great. You don't like it? Move on. But don't sit there and, I get offended every fucking day. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. Am I going to run around? And no. I tend to stay away from certain subjects that are not really part of my brand. And certain subjects that just trigger, you're always going to trigger half of the population. And you want to do that, that's fine. I don't. I have enough material. I don't have to depend on the controversial shit that I'm not really interested in the sense of discussing it with the general public. And it's just not my brand. My brand is something else. Anyway. So, wow, that being said, we were talking about cancel culture and people getting offended and whatnot. I remember about teachers. I'm going to hop into this. I'm going all over the place this morning. I'm having my coffee. See, I'm having my morning coffee. Sitting in my car. My beautiful car. Wow. And it's my new studio. This thing's fucking comfortable. And nobody's around me. I'm by myself. I don't have to social distance or where I'm at. I'm by myself. Even the fucking windows are closed. When I was a kid, and we had teachers, and I'm sure that a lot of you or all of you who are roughly the same age, if you went to school in the 80s and in the early 90s or whatnot, when I went to grade school, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever. When I went to grade school, we had teachers that some of them were really nice teachers, and they really gave a shit about the kids, and they really went out of their way to help the kids. Other teachers were fucking miserable bitches, miserable assholes, miserable whatever you want to call it. They just shit on the kids all the time, and the shit that they would get away with back then. I mean, I remember when I was, grade 6 or something like that. And, back then the teacher had the big brown wooden desk in the front of the class. And, and if you fucked up and you were called to the desk and you were given a shit talk to, that's fine. But it was this one particular day when it was me and like 4 other kids. I guess we were fucking around, talking too much and whatever it was, doing little dirty jokes, just being a nuisance. Kids, what are you going to do? You're fucking grade 5, 6, and 7. You're kids. So we're all called out to the teacher's desk, and we're all standing over there, and she's sitting down, and she's actually going through the fucking line, pointing at every single one of us to give us an insult. Well, you're stupid, and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, and you don't even have enough brains in your fucking head. She didn't say fuck, but you don't even have enough brains in your head to let out if you fell. And I'm listening to this, and she was talking to all of us, but I'm thinking oh my God, just telling this fucking kid, you don't have enough brains in your head to let out of your ears and even back then in the mid 80s, I'm thinking holy fuck, man, this is how you talk to your students? Can you imagine nowadays? I mean, I have kids, they're in grade school. I've met a lot of the teachers, they're all fabulous. They're all amazing teachers. They're really helpful. They really, they take pride in their work. Well, the ones that I've met anyway, they definitely don't use that kind of language and that kind of behavior, because can you fucking imagine a teacher from the 80s talking like now? Can you imagine? You're stupid, and you're never going to go anywhere, and you're never going to grow up, and you don't even have any fucking brains to let out of your head. This is how you're talking to your fucking students? Nowadays, getting fired, you'd be lucky if all you get is fired. Nowadays, you'd be, oh my God, what would happen? You'd be fucking charged. Can you imagine talking to students like that? And they say, well, that was the time, and that was the culture, or whatever fancy word. That was just the way that it was back then. You know what I want? And we didn't, that's how it was. But man, can you imagine people these days having to put up with that? I mean, the way that these fucking teachers talked to us was crazy, illegal. I mean, can you imagine? I'm thinking, and even back then, it kind of shocked me. I mean, I was being told shit too, but I mean, some of the things that she was saying to my classmates, oh my God, are you fucking nuts? This kid now, they must be close to 50 or something. Has this kid been fucked up mentally because of his teacher told him he had no fucking brains in his head even to let out on the floor? My God. And even if you were to complain about the teacher back then, which nobody really did, we didn't do that shit, but nobody would give a fuck. The principal wouldn't care. The teacher, I don't think anybody would care. Oh, my teacher said I don't have any fucking brains in my head. Either, oh, who gives a shit? Or what did you do? She was right to tell you that because you fuck around too much. Anyway, what's the point I'm making? What's the point I'm making today, guys? I don't know. The point is, it's like, we went from being completely one way to today we're another way. And you say, well, yeah, well, that's what happens. We advance and we get smarter and we get more, we're more appropriate with our actions. Yes, thank you. Correct. Obviously. But my God, you know what? Let's not be too sensitive nowadays. Not too sensitive. Yes, you have to watch out for the inappropriate things, the hateful stuff, the racist, obviously, yes. But I'm talking about certain people, and not everybody, but certain people who I've come across or I've seen on social media or whatever, that, oh my God, everything pisses them off. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how you dress, no matter what. Oh my God, it's fun. And they're picking on stand-up comics. And now, you can't really go anywhere too much right now because, the fucking, the pandemic and everything is closed and social distancing and you can't go here and and they're opening a place and they're closing it. So it's really difficult. So a lot of us have to be online and do our shit online like I'm doing now or whatever. And these fucking guys is like, oh, well, he told a joke that offended me. Too fucking bad. Don't listen to it. Don't watch it. Move on. My God, man. I get offended. I get offended every fucking day. But anyway, that's what I wanted to share. And I wanted to say good morning. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? You can always let me know. You can always contact me. The best way to do it is on Twitter. Go to Twitter and look me up at Real Pete Nero. And shout me a hey, shout me a hi. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like to talk about. And I love you guys. I hope you're having a great day. Take it easy out there. And fucking love you fucking guys.